Yo, what is up? It is Finn's Take with CB83 coming to you for another banger of a show, Miami Dolphins Roundtable, tonight with me, Dudley Do Wrong, TD Finn's Talk. Let's get in the kitchen. Let's cook these folks. Shout out to everybody in the chat. I appreciate you guys. Do me a favor. Punch the like button on your way in. This will be a fantastic show. Tell everybody we're live. We're going to have a good one tonight. Let's go. Let's crank it. TD, stop planning. Let's go, man. Stop it. Let's go. Hey, shout out to David D in the chat. JD the Great, Greg Rilo. I see you guys. Let's get this thing cracking. Hey, a lot to talk about tonight. Calais Campbell. Now, I was on TD Finn's show. TD Finn's Talk the other night. Move that has turned the corner for him. He is now a Miami Dolphins believer, and he think this Calais Campbell move was the move needed to get us over the hump. Hey, Doug, I had to. He want to play? We can play. That's funny. Shout out to the homies. Dudley Durong in the building. TD Finn's Talk. Let's go, man. What's up with you guys, man?
Not much, man. Not much. I like the moves, though. I'll say that.
Hey,
Place Campbell, and that's going to be an underappreciated move right now. I think it's not going to completely take away from losing Christian Wilkins, but it's going to help. I think it's definitely going to help.
Absolutely. I can't wait to talk about it. Let's go ahead and dive right in, I guess, because Calais Campbell still playing at a high level, y'all. When I say high level, he's a Christian Wilkins replacement for 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
And people are like, oh, stop acting like he's Christian Wilkins. He is. He just old. So it's a matter of, we know he can't replace Christian Wilkins long term, but for 1 year, I wouldn't ask for a better replacement. For 1 year, that's all we're asking for. So I love the move. CB's right, though. I'm feeling a little bit more optimistic. I ain't feel this way in 4 years now. The only reason why is because I always tell people every year around this time, let me give you the Dolphins wish list. Let me tell you what will derail our season and what is going to help us actually be competitive this year. What are we missing? And I give everybody a list every year. And it looks like that list pans out to be accurate. And then on top of it, through that list, I also go through the whole roster and I say, let's count the hopes. Let's count the hopes. And what I mean by that is sometimes you can't be a team that got over 30 hopes on a roster.
Mm-hmm.
Like last year, we hope Tua stay healthy. We hope Armstead stay healthy. We hope Xavier Howard stays healthy and can continue to play at a high level. We hope that Waddle. I mean, I had so many hopes. And this year, I'm going to be honest with you. There's still a significant number of hopes, but it's the least amount of hopes that I've had in 4 years on a roster. And that's encouraging for me. But here's where we're still short, in my opinion. Then I'm going to get you guys' take on like Super Bowl aspirations, because that's the only lens I view it in, is Super Bowl aspirations. So before these moves came, I had 4 things the team needs to do, and then I'll feel good about it. And I haven't felt good about the team in 5 years. We need to get a cornerback for depth, an additional cornerback. We need to get a safety for depth, an additional safety, which we check the box. We got.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We need a real defensive tackle. I don't want to hear this CB83 by committee. Get 7 of them and 1 of them will work out. Give me a dog, even if they're old. And when I went on Bleacher Report, I even had Calais Campbell on my wish list. I said, give me a defensive tackle who can play starter quality, and then I feel good about those guys battling for reps as the backup and exchanging in with those guys. We did it with Calais Campbell. And my last move was, I want 2, but beggars can't be choosers. So give me 1 interior offensive lineman, 1 solid offensive liner. Connor Williams just got announced that he's going to be back for the season, and a lot of teams are already in conversations, is the report. But give me one interior offensive lineman that's good. Not, he's workable. He got upside. Oh, that's good. So we're 2 pieces away from me feeling really secure about our roster, and that's an additional corner for depth purposes. Because, and I could be wrong about the corner position. I'm just starting not to believe in Cam Smith. It's premature, I acknowledge, but early reports out of camp, I'm kind of already starting biased to make my mind up for, you ain't got Tyreek, you ain't got Waddle, you ain't got OBJ out there practicing in mini camps, and you out there getting toasted based off of reports. You out there getting toasted. One of our writers came out and said it just ain't a good look for Cam Smith. He is not having good times out there in that secondary already. Early, come to camp, change our minds, but that's why I just want to make sure until we see otherwise. So a cornerback, one interior offensive lineman, and I promise you, this is the best roster we've had since I remember. And I didn't think that we could have a better roster than last year. I thought at a minimum it could be the same. But collectively, if you look at what Chris Greer did with the money across the table, they created a lot of cap space and for a right now situation. And we still got money to spend, which makes me feel good about potentially getting those things that I'm talking about. So that's where I'm at with it. I'm just hoping we do those 2 things. Now, if we don't do those 2 things, I still kind of feel all right. To maybe win our first playoff game. But if we want to hit that ultimate prize, those other 2 things I feel like need to be done because injuries are going to happen. We can knock on as much wood as we want. They are going to happen. And what we weren't built for last year was depth. This year we are. All right, I'll go with Doug real quick. What's your thoughts on all that? Where are you with the team right now?
Yeah, there's still, for me, it's the interior of the offensive line still makes me uneasy. That news of Connor Williams is nice. Now, will the Dolphins, we've heard reports that the Dolphins, were keeping an ear on it and kind of keeping, how's he doing and keeping, in touch with him. Will they go and be like, hey, do you want to come back? Do you want to play guard? We'll move, Brewer to guard, whatever, like any type of rotation. It'd be awesome to get Connor Williams back. But again, it's not 100% he'll start the season, but to add somebody like him back to the roster, even if we get him after like week 5, week 6, would be absolutely huge. And I can see where you're coming from with the corners, because especially with our luck with our corners lately, they've been always getting banged up, especially towards the end of the year. So if we can add somebody, and I'm looking right now at like best available that are still out there, you still got Gilmore. Stephon Gilmore's still out there. Now, is he going to want 10 million? That's the other thing we got to think about. How much are they going to want? Steven Nelson, there's a possibility. Like, there's still reliable, good corners out there that they could probably pick up. It just depends on, that's kind of Greer's bread and butter, is that secondary. Like, he knows how to pick those guys up. That's why when they got Marcus May, I was like, I wasn't expecting Marcus May, but I wasn't upset about it because he's not going to be the starter necessarily. He's going to be a rotational guy in that 3-headed backfield back there. But like you said, we all were clamoring. We want a D-line, safety, and then some of us were saying interior offensive linemen, some were saying corners. They answered 2 of them. So they obviously see things that we see, and hopefully they continue that, and they realize, like, you're not going to have this roster forever. So now's the time, especially when you see Buffalo lose as many talented players as they did, and still going to be competitive, but this is the time. You got to pounce, and you got to try to put together the best roster you can and go out and win something.
How you feel about that, CV?
Man, I just want you, TD, to give Greer his and cooked all off seasons. You better stop playing with that man name.
He finally
stop playing with that man name. Stop playing with that man
name. The stove on with Calais Campbell.
Stop playing with Christopher Aloysius Greer. That dude be
is that really his middle name?
Cooking. No, that's a Twitter thing. People killing him on Twitter. Christopher Aloysius Greer. But shout out to Greer, man. Honestly, all right, you guys know how I felt about it. I felt like we had a good roster. coming into the offseason. And, he did what he needed to do, man. We added pieces. Calais Campbell is a seasoned, I don't call him old. I called him a seasoned veteran who'll bring, some of that dog to the locker room. And that's what we need on that unit. That's what we need in that defensive room, period. We just need more seasoned veterans that have been there, that have played big time games. I think that's what it comes down to. Like late in this season, it comes down to like veterans being present, being like a staple when it comes to big games, like being able to show up in big moments. When you have guys like Jalen Phillips and Chubb and guys not playing late in the season, you're going to struggle, point blank, period, especially when you don't have the depth behind them. If you had a Calais Campbell last year, maybe you get away with one of those guys going down, right? So that's some of the give and the take, but I think Greer is making the right moves. I like the Marcus May pickup, Florida boy from Melbourne, Florida. Shout out him. You went to University of Florida. So I like the pickups. I think this roster is well-rounded at this point. I think you're going to get a really good 53, 55-man roster when it comes down to it, right? When it comes down to cuts, I think you're going to have a really solid 50-man roster. I think it's going to be really good from top to bottom. And I think when it comes down to it, you're only as strong as your weakest link as a team, right? And when your third and fourth guys are better than most, like second and, better than some first stringers, then you're doing all right. And I think that's where the Miami Dolphins are. I think Calais Campbell even said it when he looked at the roster. He was like, man, this roster's stacked. Now it's just a matter of going out there and putting it all together and making the plays. So excited to say the least. Excited.
Well, we know at the end of the day, putting it all together means that everybody's available, everybody's ready to go at the beginning of the season. I guess I'll start with Doug. If the Miami Dolphins don't get a deal done with Tua by training camp, is he going to be practicing in training camp? What's your thoughts?
Yeah, 100%. Tua is not the type of person, especially with the way he was raised and how he performed in Alabama and stuff like that. He's not going to sit out. And I don't think he'll like sit out of 11 on 11s, or I think he's going to do his thing, and he's just going to, go through training camp and get a contract. And if not get a contract, he'll go out there, he'll play, and then if he plays really well, then all of a sudden he's gonna be like, you're gonna have to pay me more.
So he would play on his 5th year option to you if Greer said, you know what, let's stop this, play on your 5th year.
Yeah, I don't think I can't see him being the type of person to just be like, be a big baby about it, and just, oh, you didn't pay me and this and that. I'm like, kind of what Christian Wilkins did. Christian Wilkins was there. He did it. He did his sit-in for a few days of training camp. Then he did his thing. He went out. He got 9.5 sacks, and then he was like, I'm out. You're not going to be able to afford me. This is the way it is. And I say that he's not that type of person because look at what happened with Brian Flores. He felt a certain type of way, regardless if it was how Flores was talking to him, how they're going after Deshaun Watson, when he was benched, essentially, even though they were saying it was his finger against the Ravens. He still went out there and he played. And okay, Brissett got hurt. He went out in the Ravens game, helped us win. He is that type of person that he's not going to let his emotions and stuff like that get in the way of him playing and hurting his team. So I would be shocked if they don't get a contract done if he sits out this year. Like, absolutely shocked. I think he'll play, and I think that might be a bigger fire. That might help the team more if he doesn't get a contract and then he comes out and we go and get to the AFC Championship game and then say we lose, and then he's like, look what I did. Now you got to pay me more. So
now I know he's the type of guy that'll play because that's what's in him. Let's separate him from his agent. Is his agent going to advise him to play?
They can advise him all they want. He's going to do what he wants.
I know, but what do you think the agent's telling him in that situation, though?
Probably. They'll probably tell him, sit down. Don't do anything until we get you a contract. And he's probably going to be like, that's not how I work. My dad is going to yell at me.
Oh, dang.
Yeah, listen.
Tell me I'm wrong, CB. His dad's going to let him sit out of training camp.
Don't take shots at my quarterback like that, Doug. I don't like that, bro.
Tua's his own man, Doug.
To a very high standard.
Tua's his own man, Doug. Stop.
You think that if his dad came up to him and was like, "You better not," he's gonna be like, "No, man, let's keep promoting culture."
I kind of disagree though. Here's why. Because well, there's two sides to it. I agree and disagree. You're spot on with the characterization of his family dynamic, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think this is different even for dad. This is a part of the business. Money's involved. I think even dad says we got to make the right decision here. You're not giving up on your team. They're giving up on you. They're not doing right by you. You also have to do what's best for you and your family's future. I think that conversation, I think there's a difference. We already know you're a warrior. We already know that your dad and you, yourself as your own man, would want to go out there and show everybody I'm not quitting on my team. I'm not sitting out on my team. But at the same token, I had to stand for something or fall for anything. I think the whole narrative about that, we'll play anyway and stuff, changes at this point, because right now is the only time he'll have leverage, Doug. It's the only time. And the reason why I say that is, if he gives up his leverage now, even if he proves himself, there ain't no leverage because they're going to pay you. If you prove yourself, you do something drastically successful, we win playoff games, there ain't no leverage to be had because you're going to set the market.
But so say that does happen, right? Say we go deep into the playoffs and he proves himself that he is the franchise quarterback we all hoped he'd be. And then next year, his number might go higher than it is now, and then the Dolphins,
you'll set the market. It's the cost we have to pay. I don't think we would scoff about it once we know.
So real quick, I don't. The Miami Dolphins are already doing their due diligence by trying to get a deal done. So Tua is looking at that and saying, "Hey, we're already at the negotiating table. We're close, right?" There may be some language in the contract. There may be some numbers that are a little off, but we're close. And that's why I don't think he'll sit out or hold out, because he knows that Miami is trying to do their due diligence and get the deal done. Now, it would be different if they said, "Hey, we're just not ready to negotiate. We're not talking money right now." That would be different. Then you hold out. Yeah, you say, "Hey, I need a deal," right? But the Miami Dolphins are at the table with him. They're having the conversations. That's why I don't think he would hold out. And honestly, what does holding out do for you? Like, in today's NFL, it doesn't do anything for you. It just hinders you long term. We're talking long term. It hinders you, right? It doesn't help you. And I know people will say, "Oh, this is leverage." This is his leverage. He is giving up his leverage, but you also got to think the shield is much bigger than one guy. And
it ain't bigger than the Dolphins right now.
But we saw it happen with Lamar Jackson too, right?
Yeah.
We saw it happen with Lamar, and other teams were like, "Nah, we're not touching Lamar." Even though there should have been multiple teams that go after Lamar. There should have been plenty of teams that go after him. They just said, "Nah, we're not willing to do that," because owners are in collusion. Those dudes work together. You may think that, we're going to go snag him from. Nah, that's not how it works. It's bigger than that. It's bigger than that, especially when it comes to these quarterbacks.
I think the Lamar situation was a little different for the simple fact that I think all the general managers knew they were just trying to show Lamar what the market was, and they were going to match no matter who gave him a contract. And on top of it, that team would have had to offer up those 2 first-round picks and give him that big contract. They were going to match it regardless. So a lot of teams said, "I can't stick my neck out there and go after him knowing that I'm not going to get him because they're going to match it and piss my guy off." Or whatever it may be. So that's what I think the situation with Lamar was. But let me say this in regards to Tua, bro. I just don't know. I totally disagree. I'm like, if I'm Tua and his team, I'm getting the deal done and I'm getting the money I want, or I'm sitting out. You know why? Because I see all your contracts. All your contracts are built to be out after this year. So you gonna play that game in the 1 year that you're supposed to prove it all? Play it. Play it.
That's why
Play it with Mike White.
That's why. But see, that's where the relationships come in too.
What relationship?
The relationships.
The market is the market. Relationship is out the window right now.
No.
In front of the world saying, I mean, you saw the frustration. Forget that relationship. Give me my money and let's be good.
He's not like that though. He's not like you, TD.
No, but bro, stop. He may have
he's just not like you. He doesn't have that personality.
He may do it a little more passively, but trust me when I tell you, Tua on that podium basically told you, man, they playing with me. They playing with me.
And the funny thing is, TD, it's not just Tua. The team is mad at the front office as well.
Yeah, everybody talking about
Waddle, Ramsey, Holland, Tyreek, Mostert, they're all coming out like, why isn't he paid
Well, Holland
yet?
better be quiet.
Hey, everybody's saying pay Tua,
he gets
man.
paid, I get paid, so pay him. Hurry up.
It's gonna get done. Tua won't hold out. They're already negotiating. They're already having the conversations. That's half the battle right there.
What you're not talking about, CB? Listen to me. You know what? I'm gonna go out on a limb and say this. I don't think they're as close as everybody think. I think that the overall contract is right on the cue, but we're talking about 2.5, 3 years of guarantees versus 4. That some people may think that's close, but that's the deciding factor. Chris Greer cannot guarantee 4. He can't, given the circumstance. But we could talk 2.5, 3. And that's where I think the issue is. That
3 is fair. 3 is fair. 3 is fair.
It's on that cuff. If he gets more than $180 million guaranteed, if he gets more than 180 of fully guaranteed money, then Tua wins. If he gets 179 or less, then Greer got what he wanted. I'm gonna tell you now, that's the cutoff right now. It's that $179 million fully guaranteed number right there. Because I know what Chris Greer is doing. Chris Greer's giving him a Trevor Lawrence deal, and they don't want it. You know why? Because Trevor Lawrence deal is a prove it deal. Trevor Lawrence deal is basically you got 142 million guaranteed, but you need to be on this roster by March 5th of 2027 for that 142 to turn into 160 something. Then you need to be on that roster by March 5th to 28 for that 160 something to turn into the 200. So people need to understand these contracts. You see 200 million guaranteed, but you see 142 fully guaranteed. If you ain't on that roster by that specific date, you're never going to see that 200. So, and the problem with Tua is the difference between Jacksonville and Miami is that at least Jacksonville is going to have him for the next 5 years before they get to that guaranteed piece. Miami don't have a 4th year to add into the contract to spread the money more favorable. That's why the guarantees are a stickler. Same thing happened with Lamar. Look at the top 3 paid AAV quarterbacks right now. Deshaun Watson, Lamar, and it's one more, but all of them they weren't playing a 4th year before they got their deal. They were either franchise tag or just straight up deal, and it hurts the AAV because you can't spread the money out with the lower number. So Chris Greer's trying to protect himself, and I think that he's looking at a 3-year guarantee instead of the 4. And that's what it comes down to. If it's a 3-year guarantee, then we can add 3 years plus the 5th year option. That's 4 years, but we can get out of it in 3 and take a little bit of a cap hit later. But if you start to get into that 4-year guarantee plus the 5th year, you got them for 5 years and you can't get out until after 4. And do you want to be on the hook for the back end of that contract when the numbers start ballooning drastically if he don't work out? You don't want to. Chris Greer can, out of good GMing, he can't do it. He could go out on a limb and just say, screw good GM work and here you go, Tua. But you're asking him to do something that just not wise from a general manager standpoint. So Tua need to take the deal that I'm sure that he's offering him now, which is similar to Trevor Lawrence. Because if he don't, I think Greer and them this might turn into a hey man, we're going to table talks and revisit this later in the season or next year. I'm telling you, it could get there. It could get there.
You think that happens, Doug?
I have zero faith that it happens. And because I have zero faith that Chris Greer is going to stick to his principles. But it could. I just can't let go of the fact that it could, because this is a real conversation. This ain't, listen, screw the whole debate on if Tua the guy or not. They like him enough to even be negotiating a contract for the future, right? But put Tua, whether you like him or not, to the side. We all have to be adults about realizing, forget the debate for a second. You got to do what's in the best interest of the organization long term, right? And this is significant money. This is it for Stephen Ross.
Yeah.
I think this Tua's contract, because remember, he already had a successor for the team about the transfer stuff. So he got in trouble with the Brady thing. So that messed up his friend guy that was supposed to take the team. But trust me when I tell you, sooner rather than later, you're going to start hearing talks about that transition of power and stuff like that happening. And he turned down a $10 billion offer. And I'm going to tell you like this, that's only because he already got somebody you already know what time it is. So I look at it as Stephen Ross does want to win a Super Bowl for the city of Miami. I do believe him when he said that he wanted to bring that. Even if it's for money, he still wants to be a winner. This is it. If we give him this contract, this is my last. Hopefully it happens. Here we go. But if it doesn't, make sure we can get out of this as soon as possible, because I need to make sure this organization is still marketable to an extent. We don't need to have a Carolina Panthers situation, where we're drafting a young guy first year, he ain't working out. Because remember, after this contract, after Tua get this next deal, if it don't work, all these stars you talk about gone. Ramsey ain't gonna be here in 4 years.
Yeah, TD, that's worst case scenario. I know.
No. But the crazy thing is we don't like to talk about the latter possibilities.
Yeah.
All we tend to talk about is, this is what it looks like if it works. But we don't really talk much about if it doesn't. And I only like talking about it because to understand, we need to consider the ramifications. The ramifications are dire.
Man, you ain't about to doom and gloom me to death. We all right.
I'm not.
Hey, Doug. He ain't about to doom and gloom me to death.
I'm not dooming and glooming.
I'm good.
I would like to have a team that if it doesn't work, we could get right back in the game.
That's it. That's it.
But we're not built that way right now. And if we pay him, it's going to be even harder to be built that way.
I think that's the nature of the NFL. You take risk, you gamble on guys, you gamble on their upside. I think that's a part of the game. That's a major part of the business in the NFL. The Miami Dolphins has kind of hedged their bet and said that, hey, Tua is going to be our guy. Let's go ahead and pay him and move forward.
They didn't say that.
Yes, they have. Mike McDaniel said it a number of times.
He ain't paid.
That's not. What does that mean, though? They're just negotiating the deal. They're trying to get to the numbers. That takes time. I can guarantee you this deal gets done before training camp. I can guarantee it.
Why didn't Christian Wilkins' deal get done when they were offering him money 2 years ago?
Honestly, I don't think Christian Wilkins was really in our future like that.
Stop. They offered to be in a contract.
Yeah, they did at some point. Yeah.
They're offering a contract
at
now.
At some point, that turn down becomes like, okay, there's nothing we can do. We've offered you. You don't want to take the deal. You're going to bet on yourself. You see yourself outplaying our contract. Okay, go ahead, do your thing. We're going to let you do your thing. And that at that point, it's like, bro, we can't do anything. We've tried.
So why do you think that can't happen with Tua? Why do you think that's just exempt for him?
It's different. It's different. It's a quarterback position. He's tied to the hip to McDaniel. I don't think he's not going to get out of here without getting paid. It's just not going to happen.
I don't think he's tied to.
He's played good football. What's our alternative?
No, see, we always talk about what's the alternative.
What is our alternative, TD?
Why do
Doug, what's our alternative? So TD don't want to. Doug, give us our alternative. We don't have any alternatives, bro. It's like we don't have much options at this point. It would be different if we had guys on the roster or we had some other alternatives that we could see being possibilities. Bro, we just don't have them. And it clearly, the Miami Dolphins have shown us that Tua's their guy. I'm going to believe them by all means. Whenever they say something, they typically mean it. Tua is their guy.
What were the Kansas City Chiefs alternatives right before they drafted Patrick Mahomes? What was their alternative?
They had other alternatives. So they could have.
What was their alternative?
Free agency. They could have traded for a guy. There's plenty of options. But you drafted a guy, right? So they drafted Patrick Mahomes. And they see him every day in practice. They're like, man, this kid is pretty good. And he can end up taking over for this franchise. And that's what happened.
Let me end this alternative. You might have to
come on, bro. Y'all just
play that game of chicken.
Yeah, y'all be playing this game of he might hold out. He not gonna get paid. We make him play in the 5th year option. Just imagine if he does play in the 5th year option. Ball out.
But CB, what if he plays on the 5th year option and we win 8 games and miss the playoffs? I mean, we can all play that game.
We can play the if game, and that's what y'all want to do. But what I'm saying is we're better off as the Miami Dolphins organization. We are better off paying Tua, just like Ramsey is saying, just like other guys on the team are saying, right? If you don't pay Tua, who are you going to pay? He's your franchise quarterback. You should be paying him. And that's why Jalen Ramsey and other guys are saying, hey, pay this dude and let's go get a championship.
Tua is not Ryan Tannehill.
You gotta do right by your guy.
That's like having Ryan Tannehill on the roster right now. What's your other options?
Bro,
what's your other options? No, go
Doug, stop this, man. Doug, stop this,
If Ryan Tannehill was on this roster right now,
we don't have Ryan Tannehill.
No. If he was on this roster right now, what would y'all recommend the Dolphins do? If he was QB1,
run the ball.
Well, that's what we need.
Tua is better than Ryan Tannehill.
That's not no. But you're missing a scenario. You don't want to answer it because it comes down to the same thing. At the end of the day, and again, it's all about football philosophy. What do you think is necessary to make a team? I'm starting to realize. Well, let me not say realize because it's not in stone yet. I'm starting to believe good may just not be good enough. And this is the point. If you got a good guy, you could just be a good team every year. If you got a good guy, you can win 9 to 11 games every year and be the Cowboys for the last 25 years, what they were. But with Romo all the way in the deck.
There are a lot of
good guy.
TD, there are a lot of good guys who went to Super Bowls.
Like that. Well, go ahead and name them. Go name them.
There's a lot of good guys who
name
went
the
Super
good
Bowls.
guys. Name
the
anomalies. Name the anomalies.
Yo, how many people have beat Patrick Mahomes in the past 3 years? Like, let's be real. You don't have. So who can you get right now? Who's your alternative that you're going to bring on this roster that can beat Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs?
See, this is the point.
I asked you a question.
I'm answering the question.
Who?
It's not he might be in the draft. You don't know.
Come on, TD. You with a rookie quarterback, you're taking your lumps. You're not taking your team to the Super Bowl.
But it doesn't matter if you get the rookie quarterback and you take your lumps. It's about building a organization and a franchise that can literally win playoff games and ultimately win a Super Bowl. At the end of the day, what a lot of people fail to realize is that you're hustling backwards these days when you pay the quarterback for that big deal. And here's why. You always got to compete with these quarterbacks that are in their first 4 years with loaded rosters. Like the bad teams can afford loaded rosters because they got a quarterback making $10 million a year.
That's not true.
Yes, it is true.
Not true because the Miami Dolphins have a loaded roster and they have a really good quarterback.
Yes, but he ain't making nothing right now.
And so if you pay him this year, you still have a very good team and you have a really good quarterback. Yeah, your window might be short. It might be 1 to 2 years, but you still have an opportunity to go get a title. This team,
I agree
this
with that.
Miami Dolphins team is a very good football team.
I agree
On
with that.
on any given day, they can beat any team if they come to play. Like we can say we have beat the Ravens, we have beat teams like Buffalo Bills, we have beat all of these teams. We have beaten the past 2 years. We've beat the only team we haven't beat is the Chiefs. We've beat the Ravens. We beat any given Sunday, but you gotta come to play, and you need to get a home playoff game. You need to run it through your stadium. That's what it should be about.
It's about when it matters most, man. Y'all you keep talking about everybody's done this. I mean, look at Jordan Love had a phenomenal game against the Chiefs. And I mean, everybody has their moments, but when it matters most is what matters, bro. And all I'm saying to you is most people are going to pick a team like the Houston Texans having a better chance at winning the Super Bowl. Let's just hear me out. Most people are going to pick a team like the Houston.
Yes, they can pick. They can pick, but they don't know.
Ask yourself why, because our window is closing and theirs are just beginning and they are already ahead of us.
They're not.
They're already showing more success.
They're not. They're not ahead of
us. Do you not notice all these young teams that are showing success because they got rookie quarterbacks with loaded rosters? It's harder now to compete when you got all these rookies making peanuts and they are able to stack these rosters. Green Bay Packers, Houston Texans, and all of these young guys, it goes on and on. If your quarterback is a good quarterback,
it will come to fruition this year. So you keep talking about the Houston Texans. We play them. We will have an opportunity to line it up with them. We will see how good you think they are, because that's what it will come down to. You keep yelling about all these other teams, about how good all these other teams are, but when we line it up this year, I bet you we smoked them boys. I bet you we smoked the Texans. So take that to the bank. Take it to the bank.
What you gonna say if we don't?
I'm gonna say I was wrong, but I bet you we get them. I bet you we make Stroud look very mediocre this year.
What week is that game?
Come on, bro.
Look that up,
bro. We on their neck.
The first 12 or the last?
It's the last stretch. Yeah,
we on their neck. How much you want to put? How much you want to put up?
Barring a quarterback injury. Listen,
here we go. Here we go.
I'm just saying, CB.
Here we go.
No, I'm not saying that, CB.
December 15th.
Line it up, December 15th.
No, it's in Houston, week 15.
It's a dub.
What evidence?
It's a dub.
What evidence leads?
I just know my team. I know my team.
I'm not saying that it's not.
I just know my team.
We're
not losing to the Texans.
Yeah, we're not losing to Tennessee last year either. Like you told me, oh my God. No.
It happens. Some of those happen. They happen.
We were on this show. I remember.
You said we weren't beating a lot of teams either.
CB's exact words. Oh, we're losing to the Titans now. Come on, TD. Come on.
There's always hey, here you go, Doug. Here we go, Doug.
We losing to the Titans now. Hey. Oh, we're gonna beat Buffalo in that last game.
And this is what I'll give you. There's gonna be one game that I think we're gonna win that we lose. But there's also gonna be one game that I may say we lose that we're gonna win. That's just how it works out, bro.
You picked the last 5 games wrong for Miami. What is you talking about?
I did. The last 5 games? Come on, man.
Down. So you didn't pick the Dolphins to win every game in the last 5?
No, not every game. No.
So which one you say we were gonna lose?
I said we was gonna win Dallas. I said we were gonna lose. First of all, I said we're gonna split with Buffalo. We should have won Buffalo, right? What else did I say?
All of them. Baltimore,
I didn't have us winning that game.
Oh, so you had us losing?
Yeah, I had us losing that game.
Do I need to get the tape, CB? I promise you.
I thought. Look. I thought we had the.
You ever picked us to lose?
Oh man, come on, man.
I I don't know a game you have ever picked us to
Because
lose.
honestly, I feel like we could win every game. I mean, that's. I do feel like we can win every game.
And I'm supposed to take you saying we gonna beat Houston.
All right,
I'm actually not disagreeing with you.
I know you're not.
We can beat Houston. I just don't know if we will because that's going to be a meaningful game.
So
And
you think Houston right now is a better team than us?
No, it depends on how the schedule fell. It's in December
on the road and
Houston.
It don't matter that it's in. It doesn't matter that it's in a dome. What TD's talking about is for the past
Toronto
4 or 5 years.
We have communication issues when it gets loud. I'll say this, CB. I'm not saying we're going to lose to Houston. I don't have us winning that game actually in my prediction, but I'm not saying we can't beat them. I think that we're more even than people think with Houston because Houston's stacked. Don't get that.
Bro, just a couple of years ago, we spanked them. Like, what are we talking about?
Different team, though.
Yeah, it's a different. They have a quarterback now and a couple other guys.
No, defense is much
bro,
better.
come on. Like,
run game, offensive line is one of the best.
I'm not buying into the Houston hype. Y'all can rock with it.
Is literally, in my opinion, top 5 in the NFL. No questions asked. That O-line now. They they went and did some surgical work this offseason and put depth on top of the surgical work. And here's what I mean by that. They spend less money per player on that roster than we do. Their backups are better than our backups, in my opinion, as far as their depth.
Nah, I don't agree.
We're always top heavy over most teams. We're top heavy. We got the better starting core, but with Houston, barely. But their reserves, I like a lot of their reserves way more than our reserves overall because they don't have we're over here wanting a better starting O-line. Like, I'll take some of their backups and start them. That's all I'm saying. And let's not forget this game is won in the trenches, bro. This game is won in the trenches.
But this is the same thing y'all complained about last year, offensive line, right? And we came out and we played well offensively. It was never the offensive line's fault. Now we could have used more depth for sure. Like we needed the depth because we had guys get hurt. But when it comes to offensive line play, the Dolphins usually play pretty well on the offensive line.
I agree and disagree, and here's why. So I know y'all seen that article that just came out. There was some real facts from the general managers and defensive coordinators in that article. So the part about the offensive line, Tua has the fastest release in the league. We know that. We get rid of the ball faster than anyone in the league. We know that. Tua was the third least pressure quarterback in the entire NFL. 15.7% of all dropbacks were pressure. Like, he basically didn't experience much pressure.
He also got the ball out quick too, though.
Yeah, but that's why, right? So our system makes the O-line look like they're just fine. But here's the issue with Miami. Like, our fans, that we don't realize that 15.7% of the time he was pressured and was horrific in those moments. But that's so small. That other 84.3% is so large of not being pressured that we saw a lot of success on offense. The problem with the 15.7% pressure, 90% of that 15% was those good teams that were playoff teams. So in those moments when they took away the first read, so we couldn't get it out of our hand in 2.1. Now the O-line starts to be a factor. Now we start to. Now, don't get me wrong, it ain't always them. It's the O-line, it's the receivers making drops when we do make plays. It's Tua not being consistent in those situations. And I've always argued this too. I'm the type of person that believe that Tua should have been going through so many lumps early on. Like we keep building systems to protect him, right? Instead of putting him through the fire and letting us see the real progressive growth through struggles, right? We hide the struggles versus letting him go through them so he can improve them. And that's the issue that I've always had with our coaching staffs, with Flores and McDaniel, in the front office not recognizing it, because we want him to improve in that area. But how many reps does he have to actually feel great about improving in it. Like we ignore that small little facet to football, but it always rears its ugly head when it matters most. This is why I always used to say Tua's not even gonna make it to year 4 because they're not gonna bring him in the league, put him in a pro style system, let him struggle for 2 years with zero expectation, right? And then year 3 it should start to click and come together at a much better level, and he gets better, but he knows how to read, he knows how to process. I'm not saying he can't, but what I'm saying is we have not put this kid in a challenging situation often enough to become elite or great in it. Not saying he can't, but now you're running out of time, and you're not going to do it now because you're on the clock. And this has always been my issue with the Miami Dolphins. It wasn't so much Tua. I knew that we weren't going to do what was necessary. Flores wanted to win now. He's not a guy that was patient enough to allow development. He wanted to win now. Get the ball out quick. RPO, dink and dunk. Let's keep it moving. Let's try to keep it moving. No learning from your quarterback other than pick a guy, let it fly, hurry up and get the ball out. No true processing learning, right? McDaniel, whether you want to acknowledge it or not, same freaking thing. Let's scrap all the things you don't do well, amplify the things that you do well, and let's ram it down people's throat. And you know what? It'll work more than it won't. And it has. But this is why I say sometimes that people get mad. Tua ain't developing. He's not getting better. It's not a knock to Tua. Trust me.
That's a huge knock.
No. I humbly don't make this about Tua. I make it about those who are responsible for developing him.
But when you say things like that, I mean, look, when you say it, so just imagine me saying, "Hey, as a YouTuber, you aren't developing. You're just a product of the system. It's not you individually. It's what's happening outside of you. That's like you're not putting in the work. Like you're not trying to get better.
So let me ask you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Since you want to use YouTube as an example, let me give you an example of what I'm trying to say. You're a YouTuber, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm a YouTuber. Let me put it on me. I don't do editing. Doug does. He's phenomenal at it. He can make a production, make the videos more animated, and it may draw more of an audience, right? That's just what it is, right? So if I am not a good editor, but I'm a great live streamer, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I cut out all my attempts to edit and I only live stream, I'll still show some success. But 99% of the time I'm live streaming and everybody's like, "Oh, you're great at what you do." Does that make me the best at what I do just because I'm hiding one of my weaknesses? You see what I'm saying? I'm not even trying to learn how to edit. I'm not even trying to, you see what I'm saying? So that element of me being a creator, I'm not even tapping into. So am I better? Or am I just hiding my flaw and amplifying my strength?
But
that's all I'm saying here.
But see, and that's where I disagree with you, because I think Tua really is trying to work on, and that's the thing about Tua that I do like.
Not about Tua, it's not him and his work.
Every year he goes into the offseason with 3 to 4 things that he needs to get better at. Mm-hmm. And he understands these. Like when he is interviewed, he'll say, "Hey, I need to be better off platform. I need to be a better processor." That comes with time. And TD, we had this conversation the other night on your stream, right? Mm-hmm. You said even guys like Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, it took them time to get to where they were. It did take time, TD, right? It takes time. Now, it took some longer than others, but it does take time. And sometimes you need to give players that time to develop. Can you win while players are developing? Yes, it happens in the NFL. Can you lose while players are developing? Yes, that can happen as well. I think there's a very fine line between winning with the guy who's developing and losing with the guy who's developing. I think there's a very fine line there.
CB, I think you're missing my whole argument here. Doug, if you're editing, right, and you say, "You know what, I saw something cool on CB's video where he sent the plane across the stream showing him traveling," right? So you go watch a tutorial. you study it, you learn how to send that plane across the stream. Oh man, I got that now, right? You're working on it in the offseason. 10 weeks go by and you right back to your RPO, your normal, right? What the coach wants you to do. And then the good team come along in week 10, and now you better bring that plane animation out. You got to go back and look at the tutorial now, right?
Because you ain't wrong.
Because you ain't. All I'm saying to you, CB, is they're not working. He's not even put in a situation to show it as much to actually. You're missing that. He's not actually even put in the position a lot. When I look at the Denver game, the Carolina game, the Giants game, all these cover twos, deep safeties, cushion on the outside, middle of the field wide open. He's just running McDaniel's system, and it's light work. He's doing it better than anybody. He's great at it. He's the best at it. He's amazing. But now whenever Lamar comes into town or Patrick Mahomes and those defenses say, all right, we coming up, we putting our hand on, we disrupting your timing, we clog in the middle, we sending pressure. All right, let's see what you worked on this offseason.
I don't think that's solely on Tua though. I think a lot of
that's what TD's saying.
Hold up. Can I finish?
No, I gotta mute you. No, here's why. No disrespect, bro. You keep thinking that I'm putting it on Tua. It's not Tua's fault. That's the point. That's what Doug is saying.
What is he saying, Doug?
He's saying that the coaching is coddling Tua instead of coaching's been coddling Tua for his whole career instead of trying to. That's what Shane Gailey was trying to do his rookie year, was trying to install a pro style offense in Tua.
So is that what you see, Doug? You see Matt McDaniel,
not because of his limitations or nothing.
I'm asking you a question.
They want to win now. They don't want to develop. They just want to win now.
It's kind of like what happened last year with Josh Allen. With Josh Allen, the first offensive coordinator was trying to limit his turnovers and make him into a different quarterback than he was. It wasn't working. They got rid of him, brought in Joe Brady. Joe Brady said, go back to doing what you were doing. Went back to Josh Allen, where they don't limit him and they let him do his thing. Oh, he's going to
limit him. They ran the ball more than they threw it.
That's what he normally does.
Oh my gosh, bro.
That's what he normally does.
He let him do his thing.
So you're saying that it's Mike McDaniel coddling him now.
In Florida. Coddle is the wrong word because you're giving it a negative connotation as if Tua's getting coddled. This ain't about Tua. They didn't set him up for success, is what I'm saying.
Okay.
They didn't set him up for success.
To some extent, I agree with you. I think a lot of this is on Mike McDaniel and his offense, bro. It really is. And people can say, Tua is only looking at his one side of the field and his one or two reads because Mike McDaniel is telling him to look there.
Well, that's where
point blank period. Like
I see where he was coming from, but I kind of disagree because to me, that's what a good coach is supposed to do. And that's where Josh Allen's example comes in. That's where like Joe Burrow coming into the NFL, they took a little bit of LSU, trickled it in. You build around your quarterback and what he's successful in, but then I can see where TD's coming in, throw in some things.
How are you ever going to get over the hump against the other
But you don't think they throw that in, no, TD? You don't think they throw in some stuff to make it difficult?
I think they want to win and do what they want. But also on the flip side, and this is something that Kurt Warner talked about, where with the progressions is it's not just on Tua getting to his second read, it's also on McDaniel helping the process, because the stuff he pointed out in the Kansas City game, when that first read wasn't there, Tua went to his second read and the receivers were stacked on each other. McDaniel needs to make the read processing better.
Easier. Yes.
Yeah. So it's not just Tua, it's also
that's been my gripe, and that's what I've been telling TD the entire time.
This is where we all separate ways and disagree.
No, this is not where we all separate ways, because when it comes down to it, if McDaniel is telling him, "Hey, we're going to focus on this side of the field on this play,"
that's right,
and we don't have it, and you don't have a third guy from the other side of the field coming into the window to get inside that window, it's going to be difficult to do it. You're not going to be able to move and do it.
And that's where TDs come in. You can't limit a side of the field for your quarterback.
So this is where the biggest argument and disagreement comes. Is when McDaniel tells him only worry about this side of the field, when y'all see it, hike to a stop, or stuck. There ain't no
stuck and check down. Stuck, you looking, and then you might check it down.
This is the way we going. Only if I escape the pocket and see something will happen. But this is where the disagreement comes. Is McDaniel doing that just because he just wants him to focus on one side, or is McDaniel saying, "Man, this is what we gonna do"? Because anything outside of that, I don't think you can do. That's where the disagreement comes from. Because I believe, because I'm gonna give McDaniel more credit.
Why would you hit your? Go ahead.
I think that McDaniel has gone through different processes and said, "Screw it." Pre-snap, we're going to determine where to go, and we're going to focus on nothing. But here's what I'm going to do. Because this is where I kind of disagree with what Doug said about the second option, right? Now, sometimes you're right, Doug. Yeah, I see it sometimes. But overwhelmingly, here's what I see the offense is. When we pick this side, it's because we're picking the side where we typically have zone coverage. And what happens is he's giving Tua options. He's giving him someone to read. If we're reading the safety on this coverage, then if the safety comes up, that's the guy to go to. If the safety stays back, this is the guy to go to. If we're picking the linebacker, if the linebacker's coming in, you got the quick guy coming across the middle right there. If the linebacker stays there, you have the flat. If that corner comes up, you got the wheel. He's giving him 2 to 3 options on every play. But what he's not doing is they're options, not progressions. Do you see what I'm saying?
But
he's giving him options based off of the defense. So technically it is a little bit of reading.
But
you're going. Well, hold on. It's a little bit of reading, but here's the problem. When teams take away all those options, 9 times out of 10 on film, you got something over there, but we ain't coming over there. But McDaniel, I believe this is where, listen, I could be wrong on this, and I acknowledge that. But I believe, because I'm not going to discredit McDaniel, I believe that McDaniel does not want him going from one side to another because it's disastrous for him, because now he has to process the full field versus those options, and that's too much for him. It's just what I believe, and I could be wrong.
I disagree a little bit. I think that the play style started to trend that way once the offensive line started getting injured and once things needed to be quicker because of the fact that he didn't have the time, because we talk about his quick release, but also he had dead last in the NFL in time to throw. He had the 31st ranked pass block win rate. Like there was a lot, but he was also the least hit quarterback. And that's where it fit into the narrative that he's a one-read quarterback, because at that point it's like, we need to get the ball out quick because he doesn't have time to go through his reads. When he has time to go through his reads is against the bad teams, because they're not getting after him in under 2 seconds. When they
Doug, look,
you're not gonna have time.
This is where I disagree with.
But hold on, TD, real quick.
I disagree with the narrative of injuries changed it, and here's why. Because we love to forget those 3 spread out games when everybody was healthy early in the season. Now they weren't back to back. It was like easy, tough, easy, tough, easy, tough. Those 3 games when everybody was healthy, same thing existed. We ran the same thing as before. It was no adjustment, and it was massive struggle. It was the same thing.
TD,
and
that's
then
not
on the
true,
back
though.
end, when everybody was hurt, we switched it completely. But earlier, it wasn't working either. When we played Buffalo, when we played
TD, we're just lacking.
If you look at that Buffalo game, we were going tit for tat with the Buffalo Bills. Touchdown.
Guess who got hurt?
Connor Williams gets hurt.
Thank you.
Then Teron Armstead gets hurt. And there's the infamous picture of Liam Eichenberg doing a split trying to block a defensive tackle. It fell apart. Now,
that's where TD, you're lacking context.
In those games, we were running what context, CB?
TD, you're lacking. So you can say this, he doesn't progress. This progression-based thing. Like you're saying he doesn't read the entire field. Bro, we are coming off a season where we are just trying to keep Tua healthy. Like that was the goal. And I can understand Mike McDaniel's thought process there. Hey, don't try to do too much. When you try to do too much, that's when you get hurt. So we need to kind of keep it to this side of the field. And then if you don't have anything, work to your check down. Point blank, period. Like, we can't try to go through the entire field because we don't have time like that, especially with the linemen going down during the season. And I can understand you being frustrated with him not working all the way through his progressions or getting to the other side of the field. That's understandable. But you also have to take into consideration his health, where he was, and we just needed Tua to stay healthy. That was the goal. That was the goal.
That has nothing to do with him being on that field. At the end of the day, you shouldn't have limitations on the field like that.
It just is. That's the nature of the game.
Yeah, that's his nature of the game. But real quick, Doug, that Buffalo game, like every time I bring that up with someone that brings that up, I disagree because it wasn't the trading back and forth had nothing to do with the pass game and Tua. It was about the run game. We were putting points up. I think that's even the game A-Chain went off. I don't know. I don't remember most of that. A-Chain went off in that game, probably over 100 yards. I think A-Chain had a touchdown or two. From my understanding, Tua threw like one touchdown, one interception. I might be wrong on that. Doug, like you looking it up. I think he threw one touchdown, one interception. But in that game, it was really controlled by the run game on offense. We kind of struggled in the pass game outside of like one big play that we had down the field that made up for like 60-something yards or something.
But here's the thing, and it's funny because now that I'm looking at it, here's the thing about that game. Achane had one long run of 55 yards. He had 8 attempts for 101, 2 touchdowns. Outside of that, they ran the ball 11 times. And then they had Tua throwing it 35 times. So it's again, but then this is where we start to understand and come to an agreement that it's also McDaniel, because why did you stop running the ball?
Because they were showing you pass defense. They loaded the box and clouded the middle. They knew that Miami wants to throw the ball in the middle of the field, so they showed everybody in the middle. It's classic. This is what Baltimore does to us. They give Tua a look that clogs the middle, and you know how they are in practice. If you see this look, we go to a pass because what they're doing, they're giving us one-on-ones in a lot of cases. They're giving us a look that means that our weapons and our speed is one-on-one. That's why when we typically make a play versus these teams, it's the big one. Oh, they got us that time. We got them that time. So that's why we don't run the ball as much against those great teams, because they always show loading the box. They
also,
always
most fumbled the ball twice that game too.
I remember he got benched. Twice. He got benched. Tua threw an interception too now.
Yeah, and he fumbled. In the game. But he didn't lose it.
That wasn't the game he fumbled. It was
Mostert fumbled 2, lost 1. Tua fumbled 1, but he didn't lose it.
Tua fumbled in it. I ain't remember Tua fumbled in that Bills game. I thought
I got to get out of here. Man!
All right, man.
Already had an hour.
Great.
So I gotta go put my daughter to bed. But
appreciate you, Doug.
Love you guys.
Love you, bro. Love you too, bro. Listen, man. 613 people in the building. Make sure you go check out Doug Do Wrong. Y'all already know what time it is, and make sure you check out CB83 as well. I guess we could chop it up for a few more minutes before we get up out of here, man. Listen, all I'm saying to you, and I'm gonna be honest with you, transparency, CB. My theory on this is not to make, like, real talk, not to make Tua look bad. Let me tell you why, because I actually been preaching this since his rookie year. I always said Tua's the type of player that's going to be a beast in year 3. If you let him struggle with no expectations year 1 and 2. If he trash, if he looked real bad, don't worry about it.
Whose fault was that, though?
That was Brian Flores.
Okay.
It was Flores' fault. I said Flores wants to win more than he wants to develop the quarterback.
Yeah.
You heard Chan Gailey say he'll get it. It's just a matter of when. And my problem is, he'll get it. You might be working on it in practice, but y'all not working on it in the game, because you don't want him to experience his flaws in real game time situation, which I don't like. Look at Jordan Love last year. Don't forget what he started the season doing.
Took his lumps.
He took his lumps, and you get better. But if you forever hide him in that situation and don't put him in those lumps. And this is where we may disagree, but let me show you something that I learned about Mike McDaniel. I actually saw, and this is where I understand Mike McDaniel, but I also fought him. And we disagree on this sometimes, but again, I'm saying this humbly, not to come at Tua at all. This is really about McDaniel. Those games where it's like, where's the adjustments? I promise you, every time I asked on film, where are McDaniel's adjustments? They clog in the middle, throw on the outside. The next 2 drives, he threw on the outside. Tua struggled. But here's where the rubber meets the road. He went right back to throwing on the inside where they were clogging. Let him keep on experiencing that on the outside. You know, we lost the games anyway where this happened. We lost them anyway. Let them keep experiencing it. Let them keep throwing on the outside. The plays were there. He just weren't making the throws properly. Bad, but you even seen in the Chiefs game that we went over the other day, right? Some of those outside throws. The play was there. The guy was there. It was a good play call. He missed. But if he keeps missing and the plays there, stick with it. Don't go back to throwing in the middle in a clog situation. And that's what I'm saying. They only want him to be in his comfort. And we were losing those games anyway. Keep him in his discomfort because he will get better if you do. And that's my point. And they never will. So that's why I don't believe it's going to matter in the end of the day.
So you made a good point. So you say, you know, Tua didn't have those opportunities to take his lumps in the first couple of years under Brian Flores because he was so focused on winning. He wasn't focused on developing his quarterback.
McDaniel too.
Right?
McDaniel too.
So you feel like McDaniel's that same way too?
Yep.
To a certain extent. Or do you feel like he's just like that?
Just like that. Just a different system, but we're going to avoid your lumps. We're not going to put you in a situation to take lumps. We're going to put you in your strength, even if they guard it well.
But see, I think, are you confusing it with putting your quarterback in a position to be successful or him not getting outside of his bag and doing something different?
No,
because that's a very fine line too.
No,
like,
it is, but yeah, I'm suggesting that, and let me tell you why. Even when we watched the Chiefs film, right? Was it a bad play call? Weren't those throws there to be made?
Man, you keep bringing up this Chiefs.
No. I'm saying it in the sense of recognize he called the right play. The guys were open, right? But we misfired a lot, right? Why go away from it? Let them keep firing. Do you like? I even believe that if Tua misfires on something, if he keeps throwing it, he's gonna start hitting.
That could be the case, but I also think you have games where you're just not on, right? Now, do quarterbacks have those games where they're just not on?
Competition.
Yeah. I mean, and I'm not saying it's so. It like in that playoff game, Patrick Mahomes threw the ball 41 times. Tua threw the ball 39 times.
Yeah.
The Chiefs ran the ball 31 times. The Dolphins ran the ball 14 times.
Okay.
What I want to see is just more balance. Like, and in order for Tua to be successful, I think there needs to be more balance in the offense. There needs to be more of, hey, Tua's below 30 attempts. We're above 20 attempts running the ball. Like, I think that's where we need to be. And I think that will put Tua in a position to be successful as a quarterback in the NFL.
I disagree with that whole assessment because the only reason the Chiefs ran the ball 30 times is because the last 3 drives, they were being passive on offense. They kept on handing the ball.
They were running the ball the entire game, though.
Yeah, but they also had some success doing it, right?
Yeah, they have some success. We did too. I mean, to a certain extent. I mean, guys averaging 5 yards a carry.
Here's what kills me with that theory. They were giving us the pass. McDaniel was dialing up the pass, and guys were open. And Tua actually was reading it properly and throwing to them. He was just misfiring. It wasn't the execution was bad. So it wasn't a bad game plan.
So if I'm a head coach and my guy is missing on those throws, even though guys are open, what do I continue to do the same thing, or do I adjust and do something different?
No,
that's where coaching got to come in. You got to be like, maybe the weather is getting to him. Maybe something is going on. Like
I answer that. Yeah, you keep going that same route, and here's why. Do I throw in the middle of the field that they're absolutely 100% clobbering and destroying us? Or do I keep on taking the open guy outside? We just got to make the throw. I got to take that. And Tua, he was missing. It happens. But don't give up on your open routes. You got to keep it. It's like a three-point shooter. I done missed 5 in a row. Keep shooting. Keep shooting, bro.
And I get your analogy.
They're open.
But it's got to be. So if those are high percentage shots for a guy like Steph Curry, yeah, you keep shooting. But if you're not a Steph Curry and not the best at shooting, you don't shoot it to it. That's what I'm saying.
I get it. But that's all. I get it.
You
but
gotta be Steph Curry to be shooting like that. You can't just be anybody.
But that's all they're giving you. That's all they're giving. But they're giving it to you. Though.
I get it, but I feel like you do to a disservice when you have some of these conversations because I think it's a little bit unfair.
No, you know what it comes down to, CB? The defense is giving you something, and your quarterback isn't executing it, and it's being given. He's actually reading it properly, He's actually reading it properly, going to the right man. He's just not executing. There ain't no way around that.
But there are also games where Tua can't miss. Like there's been games like that too. Like
in the middle of the field, bro, but he's always struggled on the outside.
Yeah, I mean,
he's always struggled on the outside.
So do you? So you get better there, but you don't force him to do something that he's not good at. You work to his strengths. That's what coaches do, man.
I'm just saying, me and you both go to training camp. Me and you both are up there on the 50 watching. Why isn't practice filled with those things?
Because I think they want to get really good at what they do best.
There you have it. Until a team punch you in the mouth and take it away, and then what you don't do best, you have to.
And that's where coaching. And that's where coaching has to be a step ahead. So. That's where McDaniel has to go to the tape from last year and be like, hey, these teams we struggled against, what did they take away from me? What's the wrinkle I can put in this year to make that adjustment and to be able to push through that wall?
Because that's the ball in the middle of the field, even though they
it's not necessarily keeping the ball in the middle of the field. Maybe it's underneath stuff. Maybe it's getting the balls into the hands of guys quicker. Like there's slants. I feel like we didn't use slants nearly enough last year.
CB, you just made a great point. Maybe it's underneath stuff. We went over that film and you had an outlet underneath every time. Tua.
Oh, you talking about the check down underneath?
Yeah, we had them all the time in that film with protection.
Right. So he's got to be, you got to go back to the drawing board. You got to be forced to take what the defense gives you. Sometimes that's the case. And sometimes there are young quarterbacks who are just so focused on making the play downfield that they don't think about I could take the underneath. I could take this.
He ain't no franchise quarterback. Just call it what it is. He ain't no franchise quarterback. That's the problem.
Tua's definitely a franchise quarterback.
Tua ain't no franchise quarterback. That's the problem.
You said all of this.
You said all the attributed. No, because every time I talk about it, it makes me realize it even more. We keep making excuses for teams literally giving him, hey, we're going to leave this outside route open all game. And he actually sees it. And he's like, I can eat all game, but he can't make the throw. He can't make the throw.
All right.
Make the throw. I'm like, come on. The check down is right there. Well, maybe we need more check down. We got on film. It's right there in front of him. He's still force feeding the Tyreek Waddle.
Are you done?
Man. Come on.
Done? Or are you finished?
And see me, just call it what it is. Y'all want to get his man $58 million.
Y'all see how I'm so cool, calm, and collected? Because I know TD in his feelings right now.
We know you cool, calm, and collected. Because when Tua get that deal, he gonna slide you your few milli. We already know.
I wish. Hey, Tua, look out for your boy. If you watching, look out for your boy, man. Hey, but yeah, I mean, Tua's getting better. He's developing, man. Young quarterbacks take time. Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers. All these guys were not great quarterbacks in year 4. It just didn't happen. So give them time, TD. That's the nature of the game. You're not patient enough, man.
Time always tells, ladies and gentlemen. Glenn said 4 weeks from today is start taking camp for rookies, 5 weeks. The veterans, long 4 weeks we have left. But we gonna fill it up right here on the Miami Dolphins Roundtable, y'all. Extra seasoning said, let me find out that TD is bankrolling the Dolphins. Every QB that gets a deal more justified than Tua getting a deal right now. But listen, they're gonna pay Tua. Let's all just come to grips with it. All right. But listen, man, we over our allotted hour time. We're at 1:15. Any last words you got for the people, CB? We got 600 people watching between YouTube and Twitter.
Shout out to the chat. Shout out to Twitter. Shout out to everybody on YouTube, man. Do your boy a favor. Pull up on me. You know how we get down over there, man. Shout out to TD. Shout out to Doug. It's always fun. Great show, bro. Great show.
Absolutely, man. Thank you all for tuning in so much. We appreciate the love and support, man. Miami Dolphin Roundtable signing out. Check out CB83's channel. Make sure y'all go sub to it. He always giving you them bangers all throughout the day, even at night, man. Also, Dougley Do Wrong. Y'all already know what time it is. Make sure you go check his channel out. And if you want to go check my individual channel out, we're on our way to 30,000. So that's the goal to get there. So help me get there by subbing to the channel. Love y'all. Appreciate y'all. Fins up no matter what. CB, love you, bro. I'll see you soon.
Yes, sir. Hashtag pay Tua. Let's go. Hashtag pay him.